Hello. I see that's washed out. Ugh. I guess the chat is on, and I'll be the one talking, and you guys will have to be the ones typing in order to communicate. I was trying to do this on my tablet, but I couldn't figure out how to get into this preset video live that I set. So, can someone, because everyone tell who they are and let me know how the sound is, because I was having trouble with the sound on this computer earlier. Well, hey, Larry. Hey, Octavio. So it says there's 5. I already got a like. I didn't even do anything. So I'll give it a few more minutes. I know some people had lunch meetings and stuff to do this time of day, but I just get too tired in the evenings. I didn't want to do it then. So I'm a little peppier, this is the time of day I kind of schedule myself to be high energy, because this is the time of day I want to hang glide. So our bodies have circadian rhythms, food rhythms, all that kind of stuff. And of course, knowing me, being 30 years, I'm still trying to refine that. This is my first Bay Area hang gliding shirt. This guy Wade made. Larry and Octavio, you never got to meet him. He's a really cool guy. Any of the old timers show up, like they'll know Wade, and they might even recognize or have one of these shirts. So, how are things going for you guys today? You know, I usually don't have any problem going first, Larry. A couple weeks ago, I took cuts and lines to go first. But yeah, the older you get, the less you go first. When it looks iffy as far as borderline dangerous. Personally, if it looks borderline scratchy, I like going then. It's a lot of fun. So if the audio sounds good, I guess I'll just stay on this computer. There's no way I'm going to switch it to the tablet anyway. Hey, Rick. Good to see you. I'll do some other live stream where I tell the story of my first soaring flight. Hey, Edwin. So sound is okay for everybody? So I put up in the description the picture of the logbook, and actually I'm not 100% sure that it wasn't the 23rd. It was either the 22nd or 23rd of March, 1992. Oops, it's the second page. Get to the first page. So it was 3/22/92. My first flight was on a 185 Dream. I think that was free flight. Yep, Edwin. Yep, you got one of these shirts made by Wade. I wrote San Luis because it was by San Luis Reservoir by Los Banos, little place Jim Woodward had. Vertical, I put 35 foot, typical training hill, direction south-southwest, velocity 3 to 5, type of air smooth, first day great start. So this logbook was actually written from memory because I didn't get it until I was into, I think about getting to my hang 2. But it was all still vivid at that point. I see MBZ Flyer. Who is that? I'm not sure whose handle that is. If you want to identify your name and other people will know who you are. Yeah, Larry, that's a problem with not going early is you end up not in the air sometimes. Okay, so what I wrote on in my logbook is nose too high on launches, but getting off ground consistently. Good landings, trying not to grab bars. I put that I got 12 flights for 3 minutes of airtime, which I think is what I tell my students, 20 seconds a flight. Yep, times 4. But actually, to go into the story behind it, a friend of mine was getting married, and I was destined to be the best man. He asked me to be the best man, and I wasn't aware, but I guess it's the best man's job to throw the bachelor party. And I'm not much into strippers or, I didn't want the cliche bachelor party. So I said, what about skydiving? Because I always wanted to fly. And I thought skydiving would be the most like flying. And actually, in 7th grade, I had done the first time they let me write a report in school about something that I wanted to write a report about. I wanted to do it on flying. I knew in 7th grade somehow that I wanted to fly. And so I looked into it, and that was back in the 70s. So hang gliding was very dangerous back then, and I saw that in the statistics. The skydiving statistics were really, really good as far as safety. So I, wrote my paper on skydiving because I thought that would be more like flying anyway, because you didn't have all this crap attached to your body. You'd just be out there in the air, and your body moving would make you do that. But when I told my friend that was getting married and I said, hey, let's go skydiving, he said, what about hang gliding? And instantly I thought, how do you go hang gliding? I had no idea. Talk to you on the radio and throw you off a cliff, or just didn't really know what was going to happen. But I started calling around, and back in 1992, that's back when we had yellow pages. And there was, I think, 5 different schools. There was at least 4. So I called them all up and was checking them all out, and called Airtime of San Francisco, and I called Mission Soaring, and I called Jim Woodward, Natural Flying, and we talked for like a half hour, 45 minutes. And I could just tell that this was his passion. And then it didn't hurt either that he had the least expensive lessons. And he was in Morgan Hill, and at the time I lived up on Summit Road, so it didn't seem like that would be too bad to go to Morgan Hill. So I told my friend and said, hey, yeah, let's take a hang gliding lesson for your bachelor party. And then I don't know if I told him or not, but I knew that was going to be in the morning. So afterwards I planned to do something similar. So we went out to Mediterranean food that had a belly dancer, because I thought that would be in the theme of kind of strippers, but more classy. And it actually ended up being a really cool restaurant. But anyway, back to the hang gliding. So I think there was 3 other guys in the wedding party on the guy's side. As the best man, he had 2 other friends. So there's 4 of us. And the other 2 or 3 guys ended up bailing and not wanting to go on the hang gliding adventure. So we woke up bright and early. I lived up on Summit Road, so I drove down. He lived in Campbell. And so I drove my motorcycle down to Campbell, and we took his car. And back then, 85 wasn't even built. They had built 101 to get to Morgan Hill, actually not that long ago, I think. So we drove down to Morgan Hill, and we met Jim Woodward at Cindy's restaurant, I think it was called. And we were having breakfast, and it seemed like a pretty cool guy. And then as we talked and figured out that the lesson actually wasn't there in Morgan Hill, that was all the way out San Luis Reservoir. And at that point in my life, I was very unfamiliar with that area and how far it really was. So we booked it on out there. And actually, it turns out the other guys in the wedding party chickened out. And so they said, we'll go out to dinner with you, but we're not going to go hang gliding. So it was just me and the groom, my friend Mac. His name was Maurice, and obviously he wanted a different name, so his name was Mac. That was his nickname. His dad's name too, also. So anyway, so we drive out there, and we're driving forever, it seems like, going over 152, and then we turn off on some road. I thought it was before San Luis Dam, but we I went a couple of years ago with Jim, and we tried to find the bunny hill again where I first flew, and we couldn't find it. But it is down before you get to Los Banos. There's that little road. I think it's the end of 33, and it goes out into BLM land, and there's just a bunch of hills that you can fly at. So we drove out there and set up the glider, and he took a test flight and took a flight to demonstrate. And it actually didn't make it look that easy. So I was a little nervous, but I was 25, 26 years old, so I was all gung-ho to go. And I actually did the first run with the hang glider. And I went up the hill as far as he'd let me go. And I ran down the hill, and I didn't get in the air. And I was a little disappointed and a little relieved at the same time. So my friend Matt took the glider, and he ran, and he just flew like almost immediately. And I didn't know at the time, but I was on a smaller glider. Medium glider. It was a 185 Dream, as I said in my logbook. I was thinking 180 when I was using my memory, but I guess they used my other lessons were on a 205 Dream, a lot of them. So anyway, on the first one I was going to fly, my friend flew his first run and I didn't. So of course I was, in my 20s and going to be competitive. So I was determined to get in the air on my second one. So I really, 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 really ran. And I got in the air, and it was awesome, but it was also overwhelming, and I was very sensory overloading. And I didn't even realize at the time. I was just having so much fun, and it was so incredible. And so we just kept going, and we were so into it. We kept trying to creep further and further uphill, like a lot of the students do. But Jim was always catching us, and he let us go up pretty high. And I really do believe I probably did get 12 flights, even though it was just kind of from memory, from all my years of teaching. I know that's what a gung-ho student will get on the first day if they book it up and down the hill. So we ended up, my friend Mac and I drove home, and we went to his place, and we're sitting there and just talking about hang gliders. My cheeks hurt from smiling so much. It was just so cool and so funny and so amazing that we were just blah, 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 hang gliding. And the other guys came over that were going to go out to eat with us. And then we didn't even notice. We were so into blah, 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 hang gliding that they just took off. And we were getting ready to go, and we're like, where'd they go? So we ended up, the whole day's bachelor party was just me and the groom. So we actually went out to this Mediterranean place over on First Street, and it was really cool because they had the cushions where you sit down low, and I remember they would pour the thing. The tables were down low too, of course, obviously. They would pour the thing like above their head when they were pouring your tea and their water and stuff, and these guys were the most coordinated pourers I've ever seen in my life, and they would just droop, droop, and I never saw them spill a drop, even though they were pouring from there. And that was just one of the best days of my life. It definitely changed my life and changed some of you people's lives that watched here. I mean, you would have learned anyway. You might have stuck with it. You might not have. You might have been safe. You might not have. But that's another story about how I got into instructing and helping people and all that good stuff. So no one has anything to say, nothing to add. Let's hear some chat from you guys. Let's hear some questions or ideas. One thing I was thinking of doing, if I go from that, can I open this page? I was looking up some fun facts from 1992. That's actually when basically the internet started. They created the international body to govern it, and it reached 1 million users for the first time ever. And Clinton was winning his first presidency. George H. Bush, or whatever it is, he was the president at the time. Never thought I would last this long, but on the other hand, I hope to. Yeah, Octavio, I look forward to doing some good flying with you this year. With gas prices, we might have to do some more carpooling than we usually do. There's a funny coincidence too that I did the belly dancing my very first day that I went hang gliding, and I never went again, even though I really enjoyed it. It was really cool. It was a really cool restaurant, and I do love Mediterranean food, but a lot of them don't have belly dancers, obviously. The night before I was going to teach my first lesson with Bay Area hang gliding, I was hungry and just kind of too tired to cook, so I ran out, and it was kind of late. So I ran out down to downtown Redwood City, looked for a place to eat, and I found this little Mediterranean place. I think I'd made it eat there once before. It was an interesting little place. And I went in there, and there was actually belly dancers. And while I was sitting there watching it, it was kind of just an interesting coincidence. Hey, Jonathan, how's it going? Definitely an interesting coincidence that the two times I saw belly dancers in my life were the first day I went hang gliding and the night before I taught my first lesson for Bay Area hang gliding. And yeah, that's a whole other story because Mike Jefferson owned it at the time. Yeah, it might have been Moroccan, Edwin. It was a pretty well-known place down on First Street, right off 880. Might even still be there. Well, pre-pandemic anyway. I just use a generalized term, Mediterranean. The one I like around here, those people are actually Palestinian. But yeah, when I first started eating that kind of food, I called it Greek food. If you want a falafel and the tabbouleh and all that kind of stuff. Oh, wow. Edwin knows the place I'm talking about. Maybe we should do a little field trip and have some Moroccan food after we fly. No, I never soared San Luis. It was just my training time. And actually, if you look at my logbook, I only did 2 lessons there. And then went to a place called Santa Ana that was over in Hollister. It was off Santa Ana Road, not far from where Pat teaches now. And that was the landowner that Jim's wrestling student. His family owned that land and the land that Pat teaches on now. So he had access to all those different fields, and he started going around from different fields because depending on where the cattle was and where they were had crops going. Yeah, soaring class. Actually, it looks like might be another chance of rain coming up this weekend. I hadn't looked in a while. So the other thing about my first hang gliding lesson, so it was in March 22 and 92, and I had this trip to New Zealand planned, and I had bought the tickets and everything already before I took the hang gliding class. Well, I called Air New Zealand and tried to cash those tickets in because I wanted to hang glide. I didn't, at that point, hang gliding came from New Zealand before New Zealand. But yeah, it was a non-refundable ticket, so I ended up having to go to New Zealand. I'm glad I did. It was really cool. And I did try bungee jumping there, and that confirmed that I wasn't a skydiver because I don't like falling. Falling is not flying. And I know if you're skydiving, you're high enough, maybe it doesn't feel like falling because the ground isn't near, but I did not enjoy the bungee jumping, and I did it twice because my friend bought me, second time was cheaper. My friend I was with, bought me this second jump, and so I felt obligated to do it. And when I went out there, I almost just said, forget the money, I'm not going to do it. But I did it, and the second one was actually harder. It was terrible. So anyway, I did this trip to New Zealand, and at the time I'm in my mid-20s. I had just got to the point to where I could afford to pay for hang gliding or afford to go on these kind of trips. I couldn't do both. So my next lesson wasn't until August 9th. So I had to, work back my money for 5 months because I knew, also, I could have got back and taken a lesson here or there, but I knew I wanted to get into it. So I saved, and I made sure that I had enough money. So you could see, after that, I'm August 9th, August 16th, August 23rd, August 30th, September 13th, September 20th. Might have got weathered out once a week. September 20th. Ooh, well, maybe I went somewhere for my birthday for October 4th, nothing. October 10th, October 17th, October 25th, October 31st. Ooh, then I got November 2nd. I got a few days there together. November 7th, November 21st, December 5th. So that's probably that is the longest I went without hang gliding. I guess maybe in the pandemic was longer. But between my first lesson and my second lesson was for almost 5 months. Yeah, Chad, actually, I used to have a much better memory. But that's why we have logbooks. I wish I would have logged every flight, but it would have been really hard because, I was taking a lot of flights off the Bunny Hill when I worked for Pat. I mean, I might fly 10 times if I was test flying 4 or 5 gliders, and then I would do demonstrations, and then I would just take flights for fun when I was at the Bunny Hill. And then also when I was starting to teach for Pat, and he was starting his tow system, he started with a scooter tow. And me and Tim Boogie were his guinea pigs. And Harold was out there. Harold was usually running the thing. He wasn't ever flying. So that was a lot more fun because when Pat was running the tow rigs, he was always very conservative on the gas, whereas Harold would just, wah, which is, I think, what you want, Tony. You want to get up away from the ground as soon as possible because that's as safe as possible. All right, Rick, 76. So you're a long time ago, Thornton Beach. So in 4 more years, Rick, you'll hit my goal. My goal has been to fly for 50 years. So I'm 3/5 of the way there of my goal. Pretty early on in hang gliding, that's what I wanted to do is actually longevity. Because I heard a lot of people that, said they got this high or flew for this long. And I even said I was going to do a loop. I knew I wasn't that ballsy, but I said, I'm going to do a loop someday so I can say I did a loop. But then the more I flew, the less I wanted to do a loop. And now it's like, forget it. That's the last thing in the world I want to do is a loop. I want to get this 20 more years in, keep my body fresh enough to where I can. All right. Yeah, Edwin, you were learning a long time ago back in Venezuela. You took your first class before I did. That's right. 1989. That's amazing. I actually just saw someone commented on my video. I looked at their channel and they had a video of someone, was it 1977? And they were soaring like they were born. And that glider turned on a dime. It looked like so much fun. It looked like it flew better than gliders today. And it doesn't really matter when you started or how old you were. You just got to keep doing it. And it's one of those things. And actually, when I started hang gliding, I'd forgot about this. My friend that I went with, he actually started golfing. And he was a very athletic guy. And I would go with him because it was kind of fun because I had played in junior high. And my first job was at a golf course. And there's something to be said about doing a sport when you're younger. So I had this ingrained golfing thing, and because he was a very muscular guy and he played baseball and stuff, he was trying to hit the ball. But anyway, long story short, so I was learning golf or relearning golf because I had played, I played for free. So I played when I was in high school because that was my job. But when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I wasn't going to pay money to go play golf or whatever. So that was another kind of disposable income thing that I started doing. And my friend Mac was doing it. And I found it's very similar, just like in teaching, I find a lot of similes. I always associate things in my head. And one of the things with golf is a lot of it is very frustrating and not very fun. And I started realizing that, the funnest thing about golf is to just not keep score and just say, there's a saying, that golf is a beautiful walk ruined. Well, the thing is, you can go on a beautiful walk. Like Crystal Springs Golf Course is just amazing. The one I worked at, Deep Cliff Golf Course, it's down in this valley in Cupertino. Some of these golf courses are just beautiful and amazing. And if you don't get stressed out about the actual score, you can just enjoy the journey. Oh, wow. Another 1975er and a Thunder Chicken. Gotta love the name of that glider. But anyway, yeah, golf will teach you patience. And it's just, I found it just like hang gliding. Like there's that one or two shots you get on a round that just feels so good. And, you know, you almost hit a hole in one, or you sink this long putt, or you have this long drive, and people are like, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy. You know, and you just get a hold of it, and it just feels so good. And it's the same way with hang gliding. You just kind of have to go out there and do it. And there's a lot of mediocre conditions and maybe mediocre conditions. And you just, you know, enjoy the company, enjoy the time. That's the other thing about golf is you run into these other people. Like you might go there with someone, but then there's other people that come out there to play. And then you know, next thing you know, you have two new friends. And it's the same with hang gliding. The community is amazing, and the people that I meet are very unique, and you know, there's no group of people like the hang gliding and free flight community. You know, even things like rock climbing or skydivers, there's just something about hang gliders and those kind of pilots that, you know, you need a certain kind of personality. So in the future, maybe I can hook up some Zoom classes so we can all talk. But I know I have a problem. Yeah, I need to get some earphones or something, because then there's feedback. And actually, trying to get ready for the live stream, I was testing myself, and I wasn't realizing that I was getting a feedback loop because I was testing on one device and making sure it worked on another device. And then the one device would hear it, and because there was a delay, it would just keep playing itself again. And that took me a couple tries to realize that it wasn't a technical problem with YouTube or anything like that. It was a technical problem in my head, and I had to take one of the devices outside to where it couldn't hear the other device. So, what was the manufacturer of Thunder Chicken? Do you remember your first glider that you flew on, Edwin? What it was called? Or the colors or anything? Waiting for more chat. Don't mean to be shifty-eyed. I'm new to this live stream thing, so I'm kind of trying to look at the camera because that's more like eye contact. Do you remember, Edwin, if there were different gliders, or did you train on the one that you ended up flying up higher? So I guess I was training on the Dreams, and I think I got my own glider by the time I was going up high. Yeah, my first lesson at 11 was my first flight off the 300-foot hill. And we called it the 100-foot hill. Back then it was only 100 feet high, but we launched from the same place. So I was flying a Dream when I went off the 100. Oh yeah, I was still flying the Dream 205, the bigger one, when I was learning on the 300. Then I tried a Vision. That was before the Mark IV. So there was the Vision, or maybe it was before the Vision Eclipse. I think there's a Vision, the Vision Eclipse, and the Vision Mark IV. And maybe there must have been another one for it to be the Mark IV. Some guys in series, huh? Then I was on the Dream. And then my Pulse 10 meter, I first flew December 5th. I put the 50-foot hill, but I seem to remember doing the 40-foot hill. Oh, and then I did try a Vision Mark IV, like the next weekend. Oh, the Pulse 10 meter wasn't mine. That was a demo. And that was kind of too small for me. Yeah, I've heard of the Flexies, Rick. Those have a lot of fame out there. And yeah, I had some of those. And all this stuff people have donated to me when I had the school. Someone gave me some of those old popsicle stick battens. Those are a trip. They're just flat, long popsicle sticks. Were they heavy? Because the ones I got seemed pretty heavy. I figure out a way to do adjustment. It seems like all the background is really washed out. Nice window here with some foliage outside. Can we post pictures here? How? I don't know. I think you can cut and paste, maybe, Edwin. What were you wanting to post a picture of? I've seen in some of the chats where people put pictures in. Oh, okay. So your training glider was the one you landed in the tree? Yeah, I really usually go flying on my anniversary days. I actually remember my 10-year anniversary was a big deal, and I ran out to 11, and it looked horrible. And I was so excited. I had someone to drive for me too. When they opened the gate on the bottom gate, I was in such a hurry. I drove my truck through, and to get out of the way, I cut really sharp, and I actually hit my truck bed on the freaking gate and dented it. And it was my nice Nissan, or what vehicle was it? Anyway, yeah, it was not a good way to start my day. And then I went to the top and started setting up, and the cloud base was right at the top of 11, and it was almost too low to launch, but the launch was clear, and I was just determined to fly because it was the 10-year anniversary of my first flight. So I launched and was just ready to stuff the bar because I was a little worried about just getting sucked up in the cloud because it seemed like it was a really good day, and it was just solid. There was no gaps. It was just solid clouds in the whole Bay Area. And it's like, how is it even soarable when there's no sun? But it was very soarable, and it was really cool. It's still to this day, I know the longest flight I've ever had at 11 that I never got above launch. Or maybe I got a few feet above launch, but the cloud base never changed. It always just stayed like basically in the towers. And I went out. That was the first time I remember that I flew over the quarry. I flew all the way over the quarry, and there was just lift everywhere. And obviously you couldn't get that high, but there was just lift everywhere. And that was just amazing. And then I don't remember what I did for my 20th anniversary. I think I went to Dunlap or something. I was videoing by then, so I was actually going to look it up before this video, but then I got sidetracked by just trying to get the live stream to work. So I'm just happy I got the live stream to work. And the reason I'm not flying today is the conditions just aren't that good. And I actually tweaked my back a couple days ago. So yeah, I could probably fly tomorrow, but I'd rather wait an extra day. We're getting our hardwood floors refinished and have to move furniture, and actually moved all this furniture and didn't hurt myself. And then there was one dresser we're trying to get rid of, and all these people said they're going to come get it, and we had it on our front porch. And a lot of people in the neighborhood, including us, just put stuff out front with a free sign on it to get rid of it. So I was just thinking, I'll just hand truck it out to the front and put a free sign on it, and then it's easier too if someone wants to come get it, because it's not gonna rain that I see. So yeah, moving this dresser, this cheap dresser that I probably should have just thrown away because no one's still taking it 2 days later. And my back is tweaked, so I'm looking forward to fly in a day or two. And yeah, it'll still be my fledge birthday flight. It's just called my birthday, but it's really a fledge day. I guess that's like a bird is hatched. bird is hatched, but it still can't fly. So you can't say it's when you were hatched. That's kind of funny when you think about it. Birds come out of their parent. They kind of have 3 days. Like they come out of their parent, and then they come out of their egg, and then they come out of their nest. So to me, the fledge is when they get the feathers that they can fly. So it would be fledge day, I guess. So just an awesome thing to have done and still do. And I can still remember being out there at the San Luis place, and there were the Gilbertsons. Was it Aaron, Steve, and Mike or something? They actually owned the surplus store right outside of Moss Landing, and they were driving the glider set up and down this 500-foot hill and just taking turns, and just they were getting more flights on the 500-foot hill than I was on the bunny hill. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, you can fly that high. That's so incredible to be 500 feet higher. And at that point, I was just remembering, like, I would give anything to go that high. Just, I had no idea about soaring or anything still at that point. I think I started finding out about that stuff more at my ground schools and stuff. Because, back in 1992, there was no internet to go online and look at this stuff about. And it wasn't publicized in books or magazines. Well, it isn't today, so no reason it would have been that publicized back then. Yeah, I'm not teaching formally. I still have my instructor appointment, so I can teach, but I don't want to teach for money because it's just too much hassle. And actually, when I first started teaching, I would only teach for like a couple years at a time, especially because I had a regular job. And teaching on the weekends was my flying time, and it would cut into my flying. So, but then I found that not only does your pilot skills degrade when you're teaching, but also it's pretty stressful, and you need a break. There's a lot of responsibility, and I don't think a lot of people really realize. They think it's a dream job and everything, but it's so super important. And your job is to keep these people safe and to teach them common sense if they don't have it, or some semblance of it. And I'm overjoyed at just having to look out for myself again, because it is very stressful to have to basically, and the more you do it, the more it kind of feels like babysitting. So you really need to take a break from it to keep the joy in it, because it is tough, and it's kind of like flying itself. You do it too much, it's actually not as fun, at least for me. I see guys like Rick Skater up in Oregon that flies all the time and seems to still love it, but I kind of got to take little mini breaks and, go for a week or two without, and it makes me more air hungry. So I guess this is the kind of hang gliding kind of stuff I want to do, where I'm just maybe talking about it and teaching, still teaching, but teaching people what what not to do by my hard lessons through the years. So I'm thinking, just tell more stories in these live streams, see how people like them, and see where it goes, because I've got tons of stories. And if I would have been videoing all my early years of hang gliding, we'd have some crazy, crazy, crazy videos to watch. There I was, thought I was going to die, and why the hell did you do that? I was not as safe as I should have been when I started, because I was so gung-ho. And I just, like on my motorcycle, I made a determination to never lay it down. And I was really good at doing that, just keeping that motorcycle up. But on the hang glider, it was harder to really know when to go and when to not go, and put myself in predicaments where my superior pilot judgment wasn't working, and my superior pilot skill had to come through. And a lot of luck. I feel like I might be 9 cats, 9 times 9 lives, because if I was a cat, I would have used up my 9 lives in hang gliding already, and I wouldn't have been here. So that's not too bad. 9 people showed up. Thanks for everyone that showed up. I don't think I want to yak much more, and maybe in some future ones, I can have, I like to freeform, but I also, there's certain things I want to touch on, and I had to kind of remember what I wanted to touch on as I was telling the stories. But I think I covered everything about my 30-year flight anniversary. And I just want to say again, I definitely remember how much my cheeks hurt from smiling. And my friend Mac and I went back to his place in Campbell. He had this little duplex, and man, we were just blah 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 blah, hang gliding, and the part of the thing about it being his bachelor party is he was getting married, and just like having kids, getting married usually isn't conducive to hang gliding. And he actually never got into it, and that's part of the story of how I became an instructor. Is when he just we'd been married a couple of years and determined he did want to get into hang gliding. He saw how much fun I was having, and he actually, and my mom too. My mom and my best friend Mac, both paid for my instructor class. In return, I was going to teach them both to fly for free. And my friend Mac did take a couple lessons, but my mom never did. But I've taken her on a couple tandems, so she got her money's worth, and also just the great stories that she's heard over the years, and the fact that I survived. I'm sure she's very happy about that. Yeah, the comments definitely help me because it gives me something else to talk about. If people want to ask any questions or make their own comments, it kind of gives me something to talk about more than just myself. I mean, I watched some of when I was watching the truckers convoy in Ottawa. Man, there were so many people on there. There's so many comments you couldn't even read them. They were just flying by. And that's what a lot of the live streamers there would do, is they would say, "Oh, ask the trucker questions," and definitely makes it more interactive when more people are talking. And actually, I have to remember when I was doing the test that there's a delay. So if any of you think that I'm taking a long time to answer your question, it's because there's a delay. I doubt there's a delay in your text because it probably pops up pretty quick. And I obviously don't have to do the text slowdown method because not many people are commenting. But yeah, thanks everyone that came. I think I'm going to sign off now. Oh, here we go. A question. Favorite place to fly? Actually, lately I've really been enjoying Ed 11. Ed 11 is a lot of fun. It's just a lot of it has to do with locality, like being convenient to your house. And Ed 11 is convenient. It has a lot of different launches. It has a lot of different options. I mean, Mission is very, very soarable, but I've just got so many soaring flights there, and seems like it's either soaring or sled ride, whereas Ed 11 has a lot more variety. So I know for when I was a newer pilot, I remember McClure was my favorite place to fly because I love thermals. And then in the mid-90s when I found Indian Valley was my favorite place for a long time. And I had trouble getting the hang of Lakeview. When I got the hang of Lakeview was definitely my favorite place. And actually in 1995, when I went to Mount 7 up in Canada, when people used to ask me my favorite place, that's the most scenic place. And it's just when I was in a cross country, when you fly from Mount 7, you're just flying down this Rift Valley with a range of 10,000, 11,000 foot peaks. And you can just hop peak to peak, whether you need the thermal or not. It's up to you, or it depends on that area, but that's a lot of fun. Mount 7 has to be on everyone's bucket list if you can make it there. That is so absolutely gorgeous. And Octavio asked, the most scary moment in my 30 years. Ooh. Scary. Actually, there's kind of two different kinds of scary, because there's two times that I just hit really bad turbulence that I was just scared and told myself, like, if you get on the ground, never go up in one of these things again. You never want to experience this again. And one was in McClure, and then one was out at front. I flew Crestline, and I got really high, and I flew way out front, like past the college, and I was flying over the city, and it was turbulent as hell, and I was just not enjoying it, not enjoying it. And yeah, that's as far as scariest in the air. Then there's scary of like, oh my God, you pulled it off. I think the time that I landed out at Hull in the place they call the Polo Field, and nothing at all happened. But after I landed and I realized how close I was to dying, I was scared. I was just like, dude, you got to get your stuff together and never do anything this like this again. And that's back when I was gung ho. And I just left. Like I was there whenever I went on a whole mountain trip, I was there for at least 3 days, if not 4. So 2 nights, 3 nights. I would always, if I was going to drive all the way up to Hull, I wanted to stay. I mean, I still live down in, Summit Road. It was a lot further for Hull Mountain. But yeah, that was actually the most scary in retrospect. And also a time I almost had a midair. That was probably one of my scariest. Is I was flying Sugar Hill, and this guy came out of nowhere and tried to midair, and then just kept trying to fly at me and midair me over and over again. So, there's quite a few times when I'm landing and saw something like a barbed wire fence that I didn't see. That kind of stuff is pretty scary. Yeah, that's a hard one, Octavio, because there's a lot of different kinds of scary. The time that I got hurt the most, both of the times I got hurt the most, I wasn't scared. I thought I had my stuff together, and I got rung my bell 2 or 3 times pretty good. Just thought I almost broke my neck twice. Hyper extended my shoulder and arms, both of them at the same time. That was a bad one. But yeah, I didn't know until it happened, and it happened so fast. You don't have time to be scared, and then you're just hurt. Oh, thanks, Edwing. Well, that's probably because I have a lot of experience. I want to look out for you and care for you, and I'm going to tell you if I don't think it's good to go. That's why I like being an instructor and helping people, because I do have that experience of knowing, like, it's doable, but do you want to? Is it going to be fun? Yeah. Yeah, definitely campfire stories, Rick. And maybe I could do a thing like that and just have, so not too many people are talking, and have someone like Rick or Carl or some of these old time pilots that I've flown with for a lot of years, that we can just talk about our old stories. So it's not just me, but today it's all about me because it's my birthday. It's my birthday. Okay, everyone's on the count of 3. I want you all to sing happy birthday to me. 1, 2, 3. Thanks, you guys. And yeah, Edwin, that's another great thing about Ed 11. All those different levels of launching and the progression that people learning there can have is amazing. And also the instructors, when we were all working together, we could keep our eye on each other's students or be working with each other. It's been an awesome time. I know there's some things in life I missed out on by doing this much hang gliding, but I also know that, if I would have started later, my body just isn't what it used to be. So I'm glad that my prime time flying time was when my body could still take it. I could still run it out, because I was pretty proud, even though I was basically blacking out on those first lessons. I was so sensory overloading. I was always landing on my feet. I was not belly landing. I don't think I belly landed until I hit off the 300, and I was trying to milk it into the spot. I think that was my first belly landing, was just trying to hit a spot, and I milked it too long because I was determined to always land on my feet. And the first lessons, I've never landed straight because I was shoulder steering, so I was always chasing the glider one way or the other. But I was a fast little sucker, and I'd keep up to it. And the glider might go to the wheels, but I stayed on my feet on all those first lessons, all my bunny hill lessons, all my 150 lessons. Because that's right. So I had to hit the spots from the 150 to go to the 300, and I just nailed them. Because you basically in a dream, you launch, fly out a little bit, take a right, and land in the spot. It was the glide of the dream, basically, kind of like the Falcons. So thanks again, everybody, and I'm going to sign off. And let me know. And I don't know if you can do comments afterwards, but if you can, let me know in the comments below if you want me to do it again. And if you have other questions or topics you want me to talk about, I'm definitely wanting to do another one like this because, it'll be 20. It was late March that I did my instructor stuff also. So it's about my 28th year anniversary of me learning to teach. And that's my first instructor clinic was pretty eventful. And I definitely learned a lot, and a lot happened. So I want to do one of these live streams and talk more about, instructing, and especially just about that first instructor clinic with GW Meadows at Marina Beach. So signing off. Ciao, everyone. See if I can figure out how to turn this off. Signing off.